the dog who waited through the storm for 7 long years. Through rain, salt, and bitter winter wind, a dog returned to the same bus stop, waiting for a man the ocean had already taken, in a quiet, coastal town in Carmel-by-the-Sea, where the mornings smelled of salt and driftwood, lived an aging fisherman named Elias Rowan. Elias was a man carved by the sea. His hands were rough as rope, his back slightly bent from decades of hauling nets. He lived alone in a weathered cottage overlooking the Pacific. After losing his wife, Margaret, to a long illness years before, he rarely spoke more than necessary. He rarely smiled, except when he was with his dog. Her name was Maris, a golden retriever with sunlit fur and eyes that seemed to understand more than most people did. Maris had come into Elias' life unexpectedly, a stray pup, wandering near the pier during one cold autumn evening. Elias had offered her half of his sandwich. She never left. From that day on, she became his shadow. Every morning before sunrise, Elias would pull on his heavy coat, grab his thermos of black coffee, and step outside. Maris would already be waiting at the door, tail sweeping the wooden floor like a metronome of happiness. They walked together down Seabreeze Road, toward the small bus stop near the harbor, a simple wooden bench facing the ocean. Elias didn't drive anymore. The harbor shuttle bus took fishermen to the docks where their boats were moored, and every morning, Maris walked him there. She never needed a leash. She simply stayed at his side. When the bus approached, she would sit. Elias would kneel, cup her face in his calloused hands, and whisper, "I'll be back before the tide turns." And every evening, before the bus even appeared around the bend, Maris would already be waiting. She always knew. The townspeople began to notice. Mrs. Callahan from the bakery would smile and say, "That dog's got a clock in her heart." Children waved at her on their way home from school. Even the bus driver, Thomas Halle, would joke, "She's more punctual than half this town." But it wasn't about time. It was about trust. One November evening, the sky darkened faster than usual. The radio warned of an incoming storm, winds up to 70 miles per hour. Most boats returned early, but Elias's vessel, the Silver Dawn, had ventured farther out than usual. By midnight, the harbor lights flickered violently. Waves rose like walls. The Coast Guard launched search efforts. The Silver Dawn never answered the radio. By dawn, fragments of wood washed ashore. A life jacket, a broken lantern, but no Elias. The town fell into a quiet grief. The next morning, before the sun had fully risen, Maris nudged open the cottage door. She walked a familiar path to the bus stop. She said, wind tugged at her ears. The bus came. Thomas slowed down when he saw her. He stepped off and knelt beside her. "Hey, girl." She looked past him, toward the road, waiting for boots she knew by sound. Elias did not step off that bus. Maris remained seated long after it left. The search ended after 5 days. The town held a small memorial by the sea. They placed flowers on the rocks. Maris did not attend. She was at the bus stop, waiting. Rain soaked her golden coat. Neighbors tried to take her home. Mrs. Callahan brought her soup bones. The harbor master left a blanket on the bench. Thomas began carrying extra biscuits in his pocket. But no matter who fed her, no matter who called her name every morning, every single morning, Maris returned to the bus stop. Children began sitting beside her before school. At first, they were curious. Then they became protective. One little boy named Owen started reading his homework aloud to her. "She listens better than my sister," he would say. Elderly Mr. Whitaker brought a thermos of warm water each winter. Teenagers who used to rush past began slowing down. Maris became more than a dog waiting. She became a mirror. People began asking themselves, when was the last time I waited for someone? When was the last time I showed up every day for something I loved? 7 winters, 7 springs of wildflowers along the roadside, 7 summers of salt air and bright skies, 7 autumns of falling leaves collecting beneath the bench. Maris grew slower. Her muzzle turned white. Her steps softened, but she never missed a morning. Thomas once said quietly to the harbor master, "I think she knows he's not coming." The harbor master shook his head. No. I think she knows, he promised. It was early January. The air was sharp and still. Maris walked to the bus stop as always. She circled once, then lay down the bus, rounded the bend. Thomas noticed she didn't rise. He parked quickly and rushed over. Maris, she was breathing softly, eyes half closed, facing the road, as if expecting familiar boots to appear at any second. But she had already drifted into sleep. Peaceful. Warm beneath the blankets someone had left the night before. She passed away in the place she believed love would return. The entire town attended her burial near the cliffs overlooking the Pacific. Children brought drawings. Mrs. Callahan baked bread shaped like little paws. Thomas removed his driver's cap and wept openly. They buried her, facing the road. A small wooden marker read, Maris. She waited. And something shifted in Carmel-by-the-Sea. Neighbors began greeting each other more often. Families started eating dinner together without phones. Thomas quit his second job and spent evenings teaching his daughter to ride a bike. Owen grew up and later became a marine biologist, saying, if a dog can love something that deeply, the ocean deserves that kind of loyalty too. Maris had done what Elias once did for her. She gave the town something steady, something faithful, a reminder. Love is not proven in grand speeches. It is proven in showing up. Every day, even when the storm has already taken what you're waiting for. True love does not measure time. It does not retreat when hope grows thin. It waits. It believes. It stays. If you lost someone you loved, would you still show up for them in the quiet ways that matter? And who, in your life, is waiting for you right now, just to come home?